Meta is more than just Facebook. It's the backbone of social media and a major player in AI and the metaverse. But does that make it a good investment? Well, in this video, myself and my AI assistant Tiara will cover Meta's core business and future prospects, its current market position, and the challenges it faces. So you can judge whether or not it's worth your hard-earned money. I'll also highlight the one key risk that few investors are keeping an eye on that could completely change Meta's entire business for the better or possibly for the worst. And I'll also tell you if AI thinks that Meta is worth buying. Tiara, how do you want to start this one?
Let's focus on understanding the core business first.
Okay, that makes sense. I really want to make sure that we're all on the same page anyway.
Because heaven forbid you humans get lost in the plot.
Seriously, Tiara, can we not start the video like this? All right, so Meta, it isn't just about Facebook anymore. They've got a whole family of apps that billions of people use every single day. This includes Instagram, WhatsApp, and Facebook Messenger, along with Facebook. Meta isn't content with just being the king of social media. They're betting big on two major trends: artificial intelligence and the metaverse. So take a second and imagine what it would be like when you could hang out with your friends in a complete virtual world that feels just as real as your living room. That's the future of what Meta's building. And they already have the Meta Ray-Ban glasses, which will probably replace phones for many one day. And they're also making constant progress on the Meta Quest as well, which is the VR headset where you can get lost in immersive virtual games. And the mastermind behind all this? Well, it's Mark Zuckerberg, of course. Love him or hate him, you absolutely cannot deny that the guy's got a vision. He's been steering the ship since day one, and his, move fast and break things philosophy has turned Meta into a $500 billion company. But here's the $1 million question. With all these expensive big moves and bold bets, is Meta actually making a profit?
Time to dive into Meta's financial performance.
And before we dive into the performance, one thing I always have to mention, this is not financial advice. It is strictly for educational purposes. That said, let's go ahead and jump in here. So first off, let's talk revenue. So in Q3 of 2024, Meta reported a whopping $40.59 billion in revenue. And that's not just a big number, it's a 90% jump from the same time last year. But here's where it gets crazy. So Meta's not just making more revenue, they're actually keeping more of it too. Their net income grew by 35% to $15.7 billion in a single quarter year over year. But now let's talk about the bigger picture. So for the entire year of 2023, Meta raked in $134.9 billion. Their revenue for the 12 months ending September 30th of 2024, $156.2 billion, which is projected to be a 23% increase year over year. Not only that, but Meta's sitting on a giant pile of cash too. So as of June 30th, 2024, they had $58 billion in cash and cash equivalents. Now, my gut tells me that that's, for potential acquisitions mostly, but honestly, who knows what old Zuck has in mind. Now, you might be wondering, well, that's great, but is Meta using all this money wisely? Well, the return on equity is at 9.77%, which is higher than their top competitors in the industry. So in simple terms, Meta's pretty good at turning your investment into a profit. They've kind of mastered it. So financially speaking, Meta is clearly doing things very well and doesn't, show signs of slowing down at all. But just how big has Meta become and how much of their market do they actually control?
Let's explore Meta's market position.
All right, so when diving into these stats and these numbers with Tiara, my mind was completely blown. Frankly, it's insane what Facebook, now Meta, has been able to accomplish. So let me show you what I mean. So let's start with the biggest platform they own, which is obviously Facebook. So as of Q3 2024, Facebook boasts a whopping 3.06 billion monthly active users. Now, if you don't think that that's impressive, remember that this is nearly half the world's population. So imagine having a conversation with every other person on the planet. That's the kind of reach that we're talking about here. But Meta isn't just Facebook, right? It's also Instagram and WhatsApp. And those, they each have 2 billion monthly active users. So across all of Meta's platforms, which include Facebook, Instagram, WhatsApp, and Messenger, they have 3.98 billion monthly active users. That's more than the entire population of Africa, Europe, North America, and South America combined. But it's not just about how many people use these platforms, it's about how much they use them. So for example, on average, people spend about 20 minutes per day on Instagram. So it's clear that Meta has pure dominance in the social media world. They really do. But what does this mean for their market position?
How the f do I know?
Well, in Q3 2024, Meta held 28.72% market share in the entire internet services and social media industry. That's more than a quarter of the entire market. And as you can imagine, the internet is a pretty big market. Big secret for you. Now, I have to say it, you don't want to miss the next part here that we're about to jump into, because we're going to explain what the future of Meta will look like. And frankly, things are looking pretty bright.
Time to dive into current and future revenue streams.
Now, you might not realize it, but Meta's advertising revenue is the lifeblood of the company. So in 2023, they bought in a jaw-dropping $131.95 billion from ads alone. That's a 16.1% increase from the previous year. And 2024 is actually looking like it'll be even more than that. So what's driving all this revenue? Well, with nearly 4 billion monthly active users across all their platforms, advertisers have a really massive audience to tap into, and obviously that pays pretty well. Plus, Meta is using AI to supercharge its ad targeting. So they use AI to analyze tons of data about user behavior and preferences, and this means that they can really show ads that are super relevant to you that actually work. So for example, if you've been browsing for hiking gear, you might see ads for the latest outdoor equipment on your Facebook feed, and then later on Instagram as well. If that seems like the internet knows exactly what you want, honestly, it kind of does.
Trust me, they are listening.
And just think about how powerful that is for brands that are trying to market to you. Not only that, but their AI tools also help advertisers optimize their campaigns in real time. So, for example, businesses can automate their ad placements and even create multiple versions of an ad to see which one performs best, which basically means that they'll have better engagement and higher conversion rates for advertisers with very little work, which is obviously appealing to every marketer out there. Now, Meta is also looking at new ways to generate revenue beyond the traditional advertising route that they've taken. They're really diving into the metaverse and exploring how virtual reality can actually open up new opportunities for brands to connect with consumers in immersive ways. So imagine attending a virtual concert or shopping in a digital store where you can interact with products before you buy them. Now, as time goes on, this looks more and more like it's going to be possible. And they're also testing features on platforms like Threads, which I think I've logged into twice, and you probably haven't much either, but they're going to be introducing ads there as well. Plus, with innovations like their glasses and headset, they're really finding creative ways to blend advertising with everyday activities. Now, if you're skeptical, I get it, right? The technology that we have today definitely isn't there yet, but if you give this 10 years, I feel like everything that we use today will be pretty much unrecognizable and like ancient. So love it or hate it, the metaverse is going to be a real thing. And I feel like it's going to be crazy to see how many people lose themselves in it. Now, personally, I feel the idea of an entire virtual world could be cool, so long as you don't lose touch with reality. But I think with AI taking over many jobs in the future, and I think universal basic income will likely become a reality, so many people will lose themselves because the virtual world, the metaverse, is probably going to be better than the real world for them. So do you think I'm crazy for that? I don't know. Just comment below. Let me know what you think. But that's how I feel.
That's great, Ron, but shouldn't we review Analyst Opinions?
Absolutely, TR. She's right. I'm just some schmuck of a YouTuber, right? So let's see what the experts say. So first off, the overall sentiment among analysts is very bullish on Meta. So as of 2024, Meta has a consensus moderate buy rating, meaning many people agree that it's time to grab some stock. But let's talk about the price target for the stock. So the average price target for Meta stock is sitting at $634 at present. But some analysts are even more optimistic, with the highest price target reaching a whopping $811. Now on the flip side, the most conservative estimate is $360. Obviously, that's quite a range, right? And this is why, I always question the experts anyway, but several analysts have recently raised their price targets for Meta. So what is it that's driving all this optimism? Well, it seems like analysts are pretty excited about Meta's AI initiatives. They see the company as a leading player in AI, which could open up many new revenue streams and boost advertising effectiveness. However, it's not all sunshine and rainbows, right? Some analysts are cautioning about the potential challenges in the future which we'll get to here shortly. But it's worth mentioning, though, that as of now, Meta has 35 buy ratings, 4 hold ratings, and 2 sell ratings from the experts, right? Which makes it kind of seem like they're leaning towards Meta being a pretty solid investment.
Now let's dive into risks and challenges.
First up is competition. While Meta has a massive user base, platforms like TikTok are gaining traction, especially among younger audiences. But as of the time of this recording, TikTok should be gone by January 19th. So we'll have to see how that plays out. And frankly, it's looking like Facebook will probably come out as a winner if that happens. Another challenge is market saturation. So with so many users already on platforms like Facebook and Instagram, finding new growth can be tough. Sure, they've got billions of users, but how do you keep them engaged?
Oh boy, the hell is this now?
Well, if users start feeling overwhelmed by ads, or if they don't really like the new features, then they might start spending less time on the platforms, which could lead to declining engagement metrics, which is obviously no good. And lastly, while Meta is betting big on the metaverse, this area is still very largely uncharted territory, right? There's a lot of excitement around virtual reality and immersive experiences, but it's also pretty risky. The metaverse requires significant investment and development time before it becomes profitable. Personally, I think it's inevitable, but who knows? That's just my opinion.
Now, Ron, in the intro you mentioned there was one key risk that could change Meta's entire business. What was that?
Yes, Tiara. Thank you. Sorry, guys. Almost forgot. So that would be the regulatory concerns. So Meta has been under the microscope for a while now, especially regarding privacy issues and data security. And with increasing scrutiny from governments around the world, there is a real possibility that new regulations could actually impact how Meta operates in total. So for instance, if stricter data protection laws are implemented, it might limit how they can collect and use user data for targeted advertising, which means that they have, a lot less effective ads and likely fewer advertisers. And that could obviously hurt their ad revenue, which is a huge chunk of their income. So based on all these factors, what does AI or Tiara think about buying Meta? Tiara, what do you think?
I feel that Meta looks like a solid buy for investors who believe in its long-term potential.
Okay. Well, there you go. Tiara thinks it's a buy herself, so long as you hold it long-term. And I completely agree with her. I think that long-term, Meta really has incredible position in the market, and they have a lot of funds to do a lot of really, really cool things. So again, long-term, I do think it's a good buy, right? Because there will be some really interesting things that they do, but we'll just kind of have to see how it all plays out. Now, if you're looking for other investment ideas, because you're interested in Meta, obviously, particularly if you're looking for ideas with companies related to AI, I recommend that you watch this video right here, or click on this video over here that YouTube thinks that you'll like. But before you click, make sure that you subscribe to the channel to unlock financial success one AI chat at a time. Thanks so much for your support.